The introduction of setting the context of divine influence in the outline for Aristotle to Zeus, divine influences in time's unfolding, serves as the foundation for exploring how divine entities and philosophies have shaped human history and thought. This concept revolves around understanding how divine influences, ranging from ancient deities like Zeus to philosophical giants like Aristotle, have left an indelible mark on human civilization. It signifies the enduring quest to make sense of the world through a blend of religion, philosophy, and mythology. This introductory point is significant because it frames the broader discussion by providing a backdrop against which the influences of the divine on human events and philosophies can be examined. It underpins the exploration of how ancient beliefs and theologies have permeated societies, influencing everything from governance and laws to cultural practices and scientific advancement. To illustrate, consider the impact of Greek mythology on ancient governance. The belief in divine intervention and the gods' influence on fate led to practices where leaders would seek the favor of the gods through rituals to legitimize authority. Another example is Aristotle's philosophy, where his ideas of the prime mover influenced later theological thought, including the conception of God in Christian theology, showing the intersection between divine and rational thought. Some scholars assert that these divine influences formed a framework that enabled societies to organize their worldviews and imbue meaning into life's existential questions. They argue that without these narratives, the progress of human thought would lack coherence and moral direction. However, this idea is not without controversy. Critics point out that reliance on divine influence has at times hindered scientific progress or justified oppressive social structures by claiming divine endorsement. Alternative viewpoints suggest that human societies, at some point, outgrew these divine narratives, transitioning into more secular frameworks as understanding of the natural world improved. This secularization challenges the necessity of divine influence as a primary mechanism for societal development. The introduction sets up a narrative that ties into other aspects of divine influence by emphasizing the interplay between belief systems and historical development. Understanding this context helps explore subsequent themes such as the evolution of philosophical thought and the adaptation of religious practices, showcasing the nuanced blend of divine and human elements in shaping history. Through this exploration, audiences can appreciate how deeply these influences are interwoven with the human experience, echoing throughout time's unfolding. The heading Divine Influences in Time's Unfolding suggests an exploration of the impact that divine or spiritual beliefs have had throughout history, particularly in shaping human civilization, culture, and philosophy. The concept alludes to how divine figures, such as gods and goddesses from various pantheons, have influenced human understanding of the universe and guided moral and ethical considerations across different epochs. The significance of divine influences is profound when examining historical developments from Aristotle, who provided logical foundations for understanding nature, to Zeus, a symbol of mythological governance over human affairs. These divine influences have often served as a framework for interpreting the world, guiding societal norms and values. For instance, the ancient Greeks revered deities like Zeus as paramount forces of nature and human destiny, which shaped their conception of justice, power, and leadership. In a real-world context, consider the ancient Egyptian belief system where gods like Ra were worshipped as the personification of natural elements, directly affecting their agricultural practices and calendar systems. Similarly, the philosophical teachings of Aristotle, which integrated aspects of divine inference in reasoning, laid the groundwork for both scientific and theological development during the Middle Ages, influencing figures like Thomas Aquinas. While many uphold the importance of divine influence in providing a moral compass and a sense of purpose, the topic is not without controversy. Skeptics argue that divine explanations can hinder scientific progress by attributing phenomena to supernatural causes rather than seeking empirical evidence. Moreover, differing interpretations across religious and cultural boundaries have sometimes resulted in conflicts, highlighting the challenges in reconciling diverse divine narratives. Opposing viewpoints often emerge around the question of divine intervention versus human autonomy. Some modern thinkers view the reliance on divine influence as diminishing as secularism and scientific understanding grow. Yet, for many, divinity still offers an irreplaceable source of inspiration and ethical reasoning. In essence, the divine influences thread through various aspects of human history and culture, interweaving philosophy, religion, and societal organization. This interconnection demonstrates the enduring legacy of mythos and logos, the mythical and logical worldviews, which together shape not only beliefs and practices, but also the broader unfolding of time. As society continues to progress, these divine influences remind us of the profound role such beliefs continue to play, providing a unifying narrative for human existence across times and cultures. Aristotle's philosophical perspective on divinity is grounded in his broader metaphysical framework. Unlike his predecessor Plato, who emphasized an abstract, transcendent realm of forms, Aristotle's approach is more empirical and rooted in the observable world. He introduced the concept of the unmoved mover, a foundational principle in his metaphysics, to describe a divine entity that initiates motion and change in the universe without itself being moved. This unmoved mover is pure actuality, perfect and eternal, and serves as the final cause or ultimate reason for the existence and order in the cosmos. The significance of Aristotle's perspective on divinity is profound when exploring the theme Aristotle to Zeus, divine influences in time's unfolding. By emphasizing a divine principle that is perfect and unchanging, yet causally linked to the world, Aristotle bridges the gap between metaphysics and natural philosophy. This view not only shapes subsequent religious and philosophical thought, but also provides a foundation for understanding the interplay between divine influence and temporal existence. Two illustrative examples of Aristotle's philosophical perspective in real-world applications include the influence on medieval scholasticism and the development of natural theology. In the Middle Ages, thinkers like Thomas Aquinas integrated Aristotle's ideas, particularly the concept of the unmoved mover, into Christian theology, suggesting a harmonious relationship between reason and faith. In natural theology, Aristotle's ideas underpin arguments for the existence of God that rely on observable phenomena in the world, reinforcing the notion of a divine architect governing the cosmos. While Aristotle's views have received substantial appreciation, they invite challenges and controversies, primarily around the nature of divinity and its interaction with the world. Critics argue that Aristotle's unmoved mover is too remote and impersonal, lacking the relational qualities often attributed to divine beings in various religious traditions. Others question the extent to which an immutable entity can effectively interact with a changing world. Aristotle's perspective on divinity profoundly influences other elements of the overarching theme. By introducing a rational, systematic approach to understanding divine influence, Aristotle lays the foundation for subsequent explorations of divinity in philosophical and religious contexts, from the reverence of Zeus in mythology to the theological constructs in different cultures. His ideas provoke ongoing debates about the nature of divine influence, tethering ancient philosophical inquiry to contemporary contemplations of the divine and its role in the unfolding of time. The heading, Aristotle to Zeus, Divine Influences in Time's Unfolding, explores the intersection of divine influence and the progression of history and time. This concept encompasses the notion that divine or supernatural forces, represented by figures like Zeus in Greek mythology and philosophical influences like Aristotle, have played a pivotal role in shaping human understanding and historical events. Aristotle's philosophical explorations laid groundwork for Western thought, advocating for reason and observation, yet he also acknowledged a divine order, reflecting the era's view of a universe influenced by higher powers like Zeus. The significance of divine influences is profound. It suggests that human history is interwoven with divine intervention and philosophical insights that guide societies in moral and ethical directions. This framing offers an understanding of how ancient civilizations perceived the world, attributing both natural phenomena and human fate to the will of gods like Zeus. It highlights the perpetual quest to reconcile human actions with divine plans, a theme that continues to resonate in modern religious and philosophical inquiries. An exemplary manifestation of this is seen in ancient Greek society, where religious rituals were heavily influenced by the pantheon of gods. Zeus, as the chief deity, was believed to control both natural and social orders, influencing everything from weather patterns to political occurrences, showcasing the perceived immediacy of divine influence in everyday life. In a more philosophical context, Aristotle's concept of the unmoved mover, a divine force that initiates motion without itself being moved, illustrates the ingrained belief in a divine principle guiding the cosmos. Supporters of this concept argue that understanding divine influences provides depth to our comprehension of historical development and cultural evolution. They assert that recognizing these influences aids in appreciating the complexities of human experience and the profound impact of belief systems on societal progress. However, this view is not without controversy. Critics might argue that attributing events to divine will undermines human agency and explanation through scientific inquiry, proposing that relying on mystical explanations can hinder rational problem-solving and advancement. This divine thread interconnects with other aspects of the topic by demonstrating a continuum of influence from ancient mythologies through philosophical thought to present-day theologies, showing a consistent human attempt to understand and explain the unknown through a blend of belief and reason. By examining this integration of divine influence, we gain insight into the motivations and directions taken by cultures throughout history, contributing to a more nuanced understanding of time's unfolding.